So, so, hello, beloved church family of the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Judith Roberts, and I'll be your host tonight. I welcome you to our midweek Oasis Wednesday night service. As you'll be able to experience tonight, our Wednesday night Oasis is a place where we come together as a community to be spiritually refreshed between Sundays. Most Wednesday night services build upon the theme of the previous Sunday, expressing science of mind, principles, and practices with the intention that these gatherings be informal, intimate, and interactive. Our annual theme for 2025 is Rising Higher, Growing Deeper. Our monthly theme for February is Radical Connection. And last Sunday, Reverend Teresa Gardner introduced ideas inspired by the talk title, Letting Go, New Way of Being Together. And tonight, our speakers will continue the exploration of this same topic. So as we gather tonight, I give you a warm welcome. If you're new to our community or watching our recording, please visit our homepage at www.oaklandcsl.org and click on the I'm New icon and look at the lower left-hand corner of that page to submit your email address. Once you do, you'll begin receiving the Village newsletter once a week on Thursdays in your email. It has all the information on what's happening at the center and the coming events. Before we get started with the talk, please mute your audio microphone during tonight's service. You can leave your camera on. When you mute your audio microphone, it will improve the quality of our recording and tonight's transmission. Please stay tuned through the end of the service to receive special and important announcements. So now I will give you a little background on our speakers. We have two speakers tonight, Ron Marshall and Nancy Hester. Ron Marshall has been a Center for Spiritual Living licensed practitioner since 2009. He serves at the Heart and Soul Center of Light in Oakland, where he's active in fostering spiritual community and growth. Dedicated to his life purpose, Ron serves as a spiritual coach, teacher of spiritual classes, and revealer of truth. Nancy Hester is on the OCSL Board of Trustees. She has participated in various fundraising events for our center and is currently the lead for the upcoming OCSL 80th anniversary celebration. Ooh. Taking place in September of this year.
Yeah.
This is her second time appearing as a speaker for Wednesday night service, along with her partner, Ron. In addition to being on the Board of Trustees, Nancy enjoys giving of her time and talent to various clients in need of administrative support. So I give a warm welcome to Nancy and Ron. As we do with every organized event at the center, we open with prayer. And I would like to, at this time, invite Judith Frauenglass to open us in prayer. Judith?
Here we go. So,
you're muted. You're muted. We can't hear you.
Okay.
Good.
So as we come together, let's start by taking a breath. Let's breathe in the presence of the one power and let it all out. As we release everything that has come before now, anything that might be in the way of opening our hearts and our minds to this time together, we just let it go. And as we are here, we remember that we are one with the one power, that we are always guided, guarded, directed, and protected by Spirit. And there is no There is no place where spirit is not. It doesn't matter what's going on the outside. God is always right there. And we are ready to receive all that Spirit has for us this evening. We are opening our hearts and our minds, and we know that this is the time we spend together in community. Absolutely. As we are together, anytime we are together, we are building our community, getting closer, remembering who we are during all this time. And so feeling joy in my heart for knowing this truth in this moment and welcoming the presence of spirit during this time. I just let it go. I turn it over. And together we can say, and so it is.
So it
Amen.
is.
And so it is.
Yes.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you.
You. Thank you.
Thank you, Judith. That
Mm.
was beautiful.
Thank you.
And now
Mhm.
I'd like to invite Ron and Nancy, our speakers.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you, both Judith, for, for our invocation and for hosting us this evening. Thank you, Reverend Sunshine, Michelle, and Oakland Center for daring to have us back again. Really greatly appreciate it. And thank you to everyone that's joining us this evening. As Judith said, my name is Ron Marshall, and I'm a licensed practitioner serving at Heart and Soul. And this is my loving partner, loving and lovely and loving partner, Nancy Hester, who is a member at Oakland Center. And so again, thank you for having us this evening. Uh, this is just going to be uh, I guess, a sharing of how the topic for this week resonated with both of us. And in the preparation materials that Reverend Sunshine shared with us, there were three talking points, and the second one resonated with us, and I'm going to share that. To get to love, we have to let go of the idea that the spiritual life is a journey with a destination, that at some point we will be enlightened and never experience human conditions again. We must accept that being fully divine doesn't mean we stop being fully human. The only way to embrace other people is to embrace our own humanity completely and without reservation. And so once again, we asked ourselves, how does this apply to our relationship? And so we took this approach. We're going to talk about letting go of preconceived ideas about relationships having a particular destination or being a particular way, and how to let go of old ways of communicating within a relationship. And Nancy is going to start us off.
So good evening, everyone. I have created a script for me to follow because I want to make sure you hear every delicious word I have to say. So in reviewing our discussion from last year on the topic of power together, I spoke of Ron and I coming from different backgrounds and how we've had to learn to live together under the same roof. What I want to focus on tonight is how important communication is in relationships. This continues to tie into my thoughts, feelings of me versus him, and how sharing of how we both feel in any given situation. Our responses are often different. Yes, as we summarized last year, we come from different backgrounds. Ron being raised by a single parent, and he was the only child, and me coming from a family of 6 sisters and brothers with both parents present. Unbeknownst to me, how I communicate stems from my childhood and the way that I was raised. Back in the day, sometimes we didn't talk about why the other person made us angry. I shoved it down into Never Never Land and hoped that it resolved itself somewhere along the way. If I got upset over an issue, sometimes I didn't want to talk about it because perhaps I didn't feel worthy of my issue being heard or important enough. Now that's coming from a place of unworthiness, another discussion. Then I wouldn't talk about it, but I would remain angry. In reflecting back on past relationships, I would bring up the issue after a while, but it still took time for me to bring it to the table. Honor oneself and feelings. When I don't express how I feel, I'm not honoring myself or the relationship I'm in. Ron is a loving, caring, thoughtful, and giving individual who has always exercised patience. He takes the time to listen. What is this about and why am I upset? Then he'll take responsibility where applicable for his part in the upset. Communication. I can't expect him or anyone else to understand me if I'm not willing to get in touch with why I feel the way I do. Only then can I articulate how I feel about any given situation. Perfect example. A close friend of mine is having an event and she wants my participation on a certain date next month. I told her I already had plans for that date and that I couldn't make it. Her reply was, I understand it's the last minute, and I'm sure everyone I asked may not be able to attend. A week went by, and she came to realize that she really needed me at that event. So she called me again and found herself changing her mind and expressing why, after thinking about it, she needed me to attend. She communicated her real feelings, which she previously wasn't aware of. She found that she had to be vulnerable and allow her true feelings to be revealed. Vulnerability is a tough one because we never know how it's going to be received and we could get our feelings hurt. When she expressed herself very clearly, I found myself listening to her as to why it was important to her for me to be there. Now I'm listening with compassion. Something changed. It wasn't until then did I know how important it was to her for me to be present. But she told me she had to get in touch with her feelings, which took some time. Communication is key in relationships. And sometimes we have to take a step back and ask ourselves, what am I trying to communicate here? And what am I clear about? Until we get in touch with our feelings, sometimes we don't even know. So how can I expect my partner to know what I'm wanting if I'm not clear with myself? Then there are times when I have to let it marinate. This is where practicing these principles steps in. Be still, meditate, go within. Don't let your first reaction fall out of your mouth. Years ago, Reverend Eloise Oliver said, if you ever want to really get to know yourself, get in a relationship. Those words continue to resonate within me again and again. Now, in my mind, I'm the one who knows it all because I've been in several relationships prior to the one with Ron. So I'm a pro, right? How quickly I learned I'm not even close. Sometimes when communicating with a significant other, I feel I may have stepped in some doo-doo. Do I say how I really feel and risk possibly hurting his feelings, or do I keep it to myself so as not to create an upset? In the meantime, I'm upsetting myself because my feelings aren't vocalized. Now, I've been practicing this philosophy for over 30 years, and it still amazes me how often I forget about practicing this philosophy in the present moment. I find there are times when I don't want to talk about how I'm feeling. I'm very independent and I'm used to figuring things out on my own. As a reminder, prior to my relationship with Ron, I'd been single for over 15 years. That independent part of me has not changed.
Yeah, nope.
Ask Ron. However, now I want to be sure I include him in important decisions, particularly when it comes to socializing, which we do often. We both belong to the same social group of friends. Oftentimes, we get together at least once a month to socialize locally or travel down to San Luis Obispo, where we've had a relationship with a couple for the last 15 years. At times, I will make plans via text with our friends, and at times, I fail to include him in the text message, not intentionally. Then he finds out once the ball gets rolling and starts asking me about the details of our event. Self-talk, Nancy. Why not include him in the initial text message? Habit? Possibly. I'm learning more to stop, drop, and roll away from old ways of being and include him in the original text message. It's so much easier to include him in the original communication so I can honor his feelings. Ron has a really good way of letting me know what he does throughout the day, especially when it involves him being outside the house. Doctor appointments, church-related issues, or meeting someone for lunch. He will send me an invite on the Google Calendar using our phones. Now that's pretty considerate. My way of communicating that type of interaction is on my way out the door. I'm working on getting better and using the calendar to let him know where I am, as it is his preference. Plus, sometimes I just forget. There are constant adjustments in our relationship with each other, the way we communicate and the way we're being inside the relationship. For instance, when we're eating dinner in the evening, I like to watch cooking shows. Ron's preference is sports. I like comedy and romance. Ron likes drama, suspense, action movies.
I like comedy and romance too.
Okay, that's a new one. One of Ron's must-haves, it's important to him that we dine together and compromise on what comes up on the TV screen. So we did. After comparing notes, we came up with a selection that we both enjoy. We like to watch Check Please or America's Test Kitchen. The commonality we found in this new venture is we both like to cook. Common grounds, paying attention to what brings us both joy. These things take time to develop. It's the willingness to notice and constantly find ways of being together that has helped this relationship grow. By the way, these shows are on PBS and they're both very entertaining. Check Please goes around the Bay Area, discovering new restaurants to try, with 3 individuals test driving them and reporting their dining experience of the food and the ambiance.
So thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome, Ron.
I was thinking about the topic of letting go, a new way of being together, and I actually think that it's not necessarily a new way of being together. That for eons, for as long as humanity has walked the planet, those couples have recognized at some point that you got to let go of some things that we might prefer or desire in order for, or that are habitual in order for a relationship to work. And that I recognize that in order for us to have and maintain a loving, supportive relationship, I have to let go of the idea of our relationship as a journey with a destination. To me, relationships are constantly evolving, especially intimate ones. And as they reach a certain point, it's time to shift, to make a shift based upon, who we are individually and collectively in that moment. For me, this meant letting go of any perceptions or preconceived notions I had about my relationship with Nancy. As I mentioned in our last talk, and Nancy mentioned earlier, I was married for almost 40 years to my late wife, Wilma. Our relationship was unique. We were both only children raised by single moms in New York. And so we had similar experiences growing up. And so we kind of developed an unspoken instinctive kind of ESP understanding of each other. And so there were many things that we just knew and we didn't have to explain. We had no siblings, and our family still lived on the East Coast. And we did attract an amazing, diverse family of choice here in California. However, at the end of the day, we were the center of each other's attention. When I started dating Nancy, who is the second of 7 children and the mother of 3 amazing adult children, there were times when I was a little jealous when things came up with them that took her attention away from me. And my apologies to any of the Hester family uh, uh, joining us this evening. Don't take it personal. It wasn't you. It was definitely my stuff. Um, uh, And it was just kind of interesting, just as little twinges of resentment might pop up. And I know that Nancy's family is very important to her. I've known that for as long as we've known one another, and especially her children. And even though I understood, accepted, and support this 100%, I'd still get a little jealous. And so it took a moment to realize or recognize that in some ways I was looking at our relationship through the lens of my relationship with Wilma. In particular, my misperception that I was supposed to be the absolute center of Nancy's attention. Uh, it was subtle. And again, those little twinges would pop up whenever we were doing something and we had to pause so that Nancy could respond, to a family need. And it took a couple of times for me to realize the basis of the resentment, which is actually double layered. Because in addition to my being accustomed to not having to share my partner with a large family, there was the only child center of the universe syndrome that I found was still with me, after all after all of these years. And I realized that I had to let these perceptions go in order for our relationship to evolve into what it is meant to be and into what it is now. And this also meant letting go of any limiting perceptions about myself, because this was all about me, how I perceive me at the end of the day, within the relationship with Nancy. And that was probably the biggest challenge because it required me to be aware, to trust, be patient with myself, and to be committed and to be able to communicate clearly with Nancy. And so one of the things that kind of popped up, just kind of, how things pop up at the right time. I call it spirit meddling. But a memory came to mind about foundations class where we talked about a relationship hierarchy or priorities, and that they're always shifting. With one's relationship with spirit being first, and all other relationships being given priority based upon what's happening in the moment. And so, one day spirit, what Nancy and I are doing is most important. Another time there may be something that she needs to do for the family or wants to do with family or one of her kids. And so that takes precedent. It doesn't mean that she loves me any less because she's putting that time, making that time available for family. What it just means is that that's what's a priority in the moment, and that it's okay, Ronald, for her to do that. And so that really made it easier to let go of always being first after spirit. This being a spiritual being, having a human experience can be pretty interesting. Which I think is no surprise to most of us. And I'm continually realizing that it requires a lot of trust and acceptance, also known as letting go. Trusting that letting go of my preconceived ideas and unconscious preferences would lead to a relationship that works for both of us, and just trusting that in the letting go, that all will be well. It's perfectly fine for me to have my emotions, and the challenge has been to accept them for what they are and trusting that they're not permanent, and not allowing my ego to grab a hold of them and be off to the races. Through prayer, meditation, contemplation, a lot of just sitting and being with myself and allowing myself to feel what I was feeling and get a better understanding of the source of them, and the continued study of Course in Miracles. And because of that, I've been able to let go of the larger misperceptions and become more aware of the smaller ones, so that they can be released as well. There are two lessons in particular from the course that have been very helpful when I'm in situations where I'm not perceiving things accurately. And one of them is, above all else, I want to see. And the other is, above all else, I want to see differently. And the seeing is with the eyes of spirit rather than with my ego's eyes. And that creates a space for me to envision a higher outcome for Nancy and I's relationship. And the application of these lessons allows me to see Nancy and her interactions with her family through the lens of gratitude. Gratitude for being in a relationship with a loving, caring, generous, talented, creative, and spiritually guided woman. Gratitude that she and her family are close. Not, there are a lot of families that are, that don't have the bond that Nancy and her brothers and sisters and all the nieces and nephews do. And gratitude for being welcomed into and accepted into the lives of her amazing family, which is infinitely better than, kind of silently being resentful and pouting.
Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
so back to Nancy.
I'm so grateful that we are in this philosophy together because it works. So does prayer. Additionally, I've noticed one more thing that has supported me over this past year, and it's the continual process of developing my spirituality in and out of relationships. While reading books on developing a deeper spirituality is great, and there's some wonderful books out there to support our growth, our process, and the constant need to know how and why we are spiritual beings having a human experience. I've learned that there's another way that has supported my spiritual growth. It'll be a year this April that I've been on the board of trustees at the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. It has stretched me in a lot of areas previously unbeknownst to me. I'm now involved in fundraising, supporting those in need with my skills and talents, and other activities for the benefit of my center. I've come to know the amazing volunteers who show up every week to make sure this center functions at its best. I'm finding that as I'm constantly engaged in church activities, it overflows and helps to clear my mind of the old way of handling conflicts in the living space, in the community, and in and out of all my relationships. Being in community stretches out into our way of how we're being with self and relationships. It gets me out of it's no longer about me and encourages me to include those around me. As the song goes by Al Jarreau, we are in this love together. In navigating through our differences, I want to say again how much better of a person I've become by practicing science of mind principles. Also, it's rubbed off on my children. They watch how I live and move through life challenges, and they're encouraged to learn why I don't get stressed out like I used to. Because God's got it, that's why. Additionally, I continue to have a partner who is very forgiving, consistently loving, patient, and always willing to try. It's important to him that I'm happy, and it's important to me that I always consider his feelings. At the end of the day, who wants to get in bed with ill feelings?
I just want to take a time check. Thank you. How are we doing on time?
We have a lot of time. We have another 20 minutes.
Okay,
Mhm.
cool. So I have a couple other things to add, just to speak to. I wanted to speak to some of the spiritual principles and practices that that have supported me in letting go and shifting my thinking, specifically in our relationship. Um, Acceptance, compassion, forgiveness, gratitude. I mentioned spending time in contemplation and meditation earlier, journaling, and most definitely prayer, are principles and practices that continue to support me in letting go of what no longer serves me. That we are both practicing this philosophy in our collective and individual ways really makes a difference in the relationship. Um, and Again, going back to A Course in Miracles, it's been especially helpful because it just helps me to see the world in a different light. To realize that my perception of life, which is based upon my thoughts, isn't always accurate, and that there's a world that exists beyond the one that we have collectively created with our thoughts and through our race consciousness. And as I let go of those thoughts, I get to see Nancy and myself in a very, very different and wonderful and loving light. And having a daily gratitude practice supports me in seeing what there is to be grateful for rather than focusing on what's not. Um, and having prayer partners to know the truth for me when I'm having a difficult time knowing it for myself is priceless. And another thing, just real quick interjection that I realized that I had to let go of, and I think we've maybe both have done this unconsciously, is that everybody's got to be doing the same thing. We both have to attend and support the same spiritual center. And we realized that, it is perfectly fine, that Nancy, gives her all, to Oakland Center, and I participate at Heart and Soul and their sister communities. And we still get to I'll call it cross-pollinate. with that. And I grew up in a community where, everybody was in lockstep. Everyone went to the same, the same church. And if you didn't do that, folks felt a certain way about it. So I'm grateful that we don't subscribe to that, and it allows for a greater expansion and experience in our relationship. And back to Nancy.
Thank you, Ron.
You're welcome, Nancy.
So we are going on 6 years now. And as we look back, we can honestly say the science of mind philosophy has put us on higher grounds to be more loving, more present, more patient, more forgiving, and honoring more of self. This is what we can bring to the table, not only in this relationship, but in our daily interactions of life. For us, togetherness means showing up as our best selves, even when we don't feel like it.
What Nancy said. Uh, um, so we are complete for the moment, and thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to share a little bit about our relationship and the impact that being in this philosophy and part of these amazing communities has had and will continue to have on it. And now we'd like to hear from you in terms of your thoughts and ideas around anything we might have said, if there are questions or anything that you'd like to share. And I see Reverend Sunshine's got her hand up. Not surprised. Her being the first one.
I like to no, whatever the word is. I like to just lavish my people, all my people whenever I can. And y'all are my people. I've
You
known
like
you both
lavishing. Lavishing is good.
lavishing. Yeah, lavishing is a good, abundant word. I've known you both for many years and separately and together. And thank you for saying yes twice to me. And there'll be another invitation, I'm sure, for you to come. Y'all are just so cute. And I wanted to just say something to each of you. Ron, you mentioned that your spiritual practices, you mentioned so many of them. Thank you
Yes.
for mentioning those, many of which we know about and many of us practice as well. One in particular is the gratitude practice, which I'm sure you may have heard from Nancy, and I know you know from Deborah Perdue, who's your friend, that we're using her book, her 365 Book of Gratitude, along with the Ernest Holmes 365 Science of Mind. So they partner very well. And I would love for you to, if your class hasn't started, I heard that somewhere, maybe I read a post of yours that you and Deborah are doing a class. So if it's open, and I'd love for you to tell our community about it because they know about Deborah Perdue. We have, Linda couldn't keep the book in the bookstore. We have at least, probably about 50 people. We help boost her sales in her book of the gratitude practices, and they're really enjoying it. So I'd love for you to speak to that. And then Nancy, I just want to thank you for your deep service at OCSL. Nancy just came in with her sleeves rolled up, and not only, as Judith mentioned in her introduction, is she on the board of trustees, and I asked her to be and she volunteered to be the lead on the 80th anniversary committee. But also she's on the gardening team. So we had a whole slew of gardeners out there. It's beautiful weather, right? They were just out there, and they just kept multiplying, and they were all out there and just feeling so good about doing their gardening work. But also, Nancy brings fresh flowers for the pulpit. She puts wreaths on my door, and periodically she'll bring me lunch, and now she's helping in the office. So you've been just a godsend on the volunteerism front, and I really want to thank you. So I am complete. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just so you know, we Deborah and I opted to not do the class at this time. We're going to look to do something later in the fall. Just three things going on, and
Let us
So,
communicate.
and
Let us,
actually, thank you. Oh, I'm sorry.
just let us know when
I
you're doing
will. I
it, because
will.
I know
I
some of
will.
our people will sign
I
up.
will. I will. And actually, thank you. This is all your fault, so to speak, because you gifted um, me with her gratitude journal and with her first daily gratitude guides. And I signed up for the ones that come through email and have been a fan ever since. Well, thank you. Yeah, folks, if you haven't gotten the book already, get it. And actually go get the first one too. Get volume one as well. Ta, ta, ta.
Any other comment or questions?
I see Judith looking like she's trying to unmute.
Judith, do you have a comment? Yeah, your hand is up, but you're muted. You need to unmute. You're still muted. Just click the little microphone down in the corner, left corner. He can't hear you.
Oh.
Freddie, can you
Andrea has a hand up. Oh, there's
Oh, wait,
Judith
there I
is
go.
clear.
Now
Okay,
we
go
got
Judith.
Judith. So I just wanted to thank you for, I remember your last talk, and this was quite wonderful. And it's even wonderful, although I am not in a relationship that I'm working on, but I have things that I've heard about that, which apply to my family relationships. I have a wonderful daughter and I have a wonderful granddaughter, and I have an ongoing relationship with them that needs tending and needs attention. And so listening to you, I got a lot, that could be applied in that direction as well. So thank you.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished.
Someone with their hand up.
Mhm.
Andre.
Andrea has her hand up.
Hi, it's so
Hey.
wonderful to hear both of you talk and reflect and appreciate. And this is just something that I just came up with just now.
Mhm.
That my partner and I have been together for 26 years, which is just amazing to me. Where did that time go?
Mhm.
And we have certainly had to work a lot on our relationship. And I think what happens concurrently with developing in a relationship is self-knowledge of each person in that relationship, and knowledge of self in community.
Mhm.
Big.
And by community, I'm saying the community of people who find they enjoy associating with each other, including God.
Yes. Yes.
Well put.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's all I have.
That was plenty. Yeah, it's really interesting how when we spend the time to develop, I'll speak for myself. When I spend the time to develop me and look at myself and kind of what makes me tick and what motivates me, I realize that for as much as I might want to, make it her fault.
So easy.
um, it's not. In that anything that might upset me is just a reflection, a reminder to me of something that's going on within me. Otherwise, it wouldn't upset me. It wouldn't bother me. So taking that time and recognizing that, and then doing what I have to do, to uh, actually to be okay with that. And then from there, I can actually change my behavior, my thinking about it, makes a major difference in in our relationship together. So thank you, Andrea, for bringing that point.
Mhm.
Well, and let me just add one thing too.
Oh, please, yeah.
It goes back to your point that relationships are not static, but they are evolving. So all parts of what I was mentioning, the community, the self,
Mhm.
and the intimate relationship, those are all evolving.
Yes.
hmm hmm Yeah, because we are.
Yeah.
I love the serendipity, of life, and all the how all the interactions make life-changing impacts, on not just our lives, but the lives of others. Spirit's a great director. I could not orchestrate life. The way things turn out and the way connections, et cetera, are made, without in the way that Spirit does.
Amen.
Mhm. She's back. Yes.
And you know what? In our world, serendipity is underrated.
Mhm.
So I'm just applauding you for bringing it in.
My pleasure. Oh.
So we have time for a few more, one or two more comments or questions.
Please. Reverend Sunshine has her hand up.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was just something between the interchange was reminding me of the commitment ceremony that we recently did, and the way that initiated was the different types of relationships that we have. We're all in relationship,
Mhm.
and no matter who it's with, especially starting with self. And it was just this epiphany kind of moment that unless we dedicate some energetic to our own relationship with ourselves, it makes it more challenging or superficial or more surface level to be in relationship with other people,
Mhm.
because we can't give to somebody else. It's like in prayer, you can't give to somebody else what you're not giving to yourself. And
Mhm.
so, to the degree that we do our work and we self reflect and we grow and we develop ourselves, deepens the relationship that we have with our partners, with our family, with our colleagues, or with spiritual community. Y'all might know that, but it was just like an epiphany.
Mhm.
It's
Yes.
like,
Mhm.
yeah, that makes
Mhm.
so much sense.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Mm. Mr.
So I,
Judith,
oh,
oh.
Deb, are you raising your hand?
yes, I am. I'm in my car, so it's like so.
Go ahead, Deb.
She
Go
snuck
ahead.
in there. Where?
Hey, Rev Deb.
Hey, Rev Deb.
Hey,
Big,
what's
big
up,
brother
baby
Ron,
face?
thank you. And Nancy, it's so beautiful to see you all and to see your energy and the love that you have for each other and just the light that you bring to this. This is, Ron, I've known you. We've hung together for practitioner classes and everything else. So you are my big brother for life. And Nancy is like, thank you for how you show up and just your light that you bring, to the community and to the world. And I'm just grateful for the gifts that you all bring to us, on these Wednesday night when you're interacting and in life in general, because it is, it's like when you're living this life that you're speaking of, it shows.
Yes.
People see this and they can feel this, and and Rev, like you said a little while ago, it's just, it's about that self-love as well. Because one of the things when I left here 12 years ago, that was one of the things that I really focused on was loving me and honoring me. And that's the biggest part, because it has to be that connection with me in spirit, and to know that I'm worthy of having love and be, it's like, and to be able to express that love in the world. But it's like, I have to be able to do that with myself as well.
Yes.
So,
Yeah,
it's like,
absolutely.
you all have been, I know, through ups and downs and roundabout and everything else, because that's the human experience.
Yeah.
But, when you all come together in this love fashion, just love for yourselves and love for each other, it spills out into the world. And, you all continue to be that example. So I thank you all for how you all show up, because it helps me to be able to remember to my principles, my practice, my spiritual principles, and to remember spirit in everything and in everyone. And
Yes.
even when we don't feel like having those hard conversations sometimes, it's like we get to tap within, and be it with loved ones, be it with family, be it with friends or coworkers, whomever. And that's the thing that I love about this life, that we live. And, and I'm grateful to have a beautiful partner that we get to, have these conversations with. So I'm
Yes.
grateful for this, of how you show up. And Nancy, thank you for, for having my back sometimes when I can't be there. So,
You always have my back.
so
I
I'm so
love doing
grateful.
it.
So thank you all. And it's like, and, like I said, I had to jump in here before even while I'm in the car, before
Glad
we
you
end.
do.
And I am complete. Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Thank
Rev
you.
Deb.
Thanks,
All
Nancy.
right.
Thank you, Rev Deb, and thank you, Ron and Nancy, for a wonderful talk and wonderful evening. I mean, it's just very, very heart opening and rich. And as Reverend Sunshine said, cute. What a cute couple. Yeah. Oh, you're such a cute couple. We're gonna segue now into our announcements, and
Thank you.
and
Hi,
then I
Reverend
know Ron.
Ikea.
Yeah, pardon me.
I just said hi to Reverend Ikea. That's all.
Oh, okay, yeah, Reverend Aki is here. So we're going to move into our announcements now, and Freddie's going to bring up our slides. So
That was fun.
yeah, so next Sunday, March 2nd, Reverend Sunshine Michelle will be speaking on navigating the tides of life. And as usual, meditation starts at 10, and it's followed by the service at 10:30. And on Wednesday, March 5th, Crystal Fry will be speaking on the same subject, navigating the tides of life. And as with tonight, meditation is at 6:30, and the service will start at 7, and again by Zoom. So our daily readers for 2025 are 365 Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes and Daily Gratitude Reflections, Volume 2 by Deborah Perdue, which was spoken about earlier tonight. Black History Month is an annual celebration of achievements by African Americans and a time for recognizing their central role in U.S. history. Since 1976, every U.S. president has officially designated the month of February as Black History Month. So we are honoring Black History Month at Oakland Center. The season for nonviolence is happening January 30th through April 4th for 64 days, commemorating the anniversaries of the deaths of Mohandas Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr. You can pick up your daily affirmations at the front table of the sanctuary. Our diversity circle meets on February 28th at 7 p.m. on Zoom. Join the discussion about all the changes the new government is, oh, this should be good. All the changes the new government is attempting to and implementing, that it is implementing. People have a lot on their minds and hearts. This month, let's gather to respectfully share and discuss our thoughts. As always, differing and opposing views are welcome. Go to oaklandcsl.org groups page for the Diversity Circle Zoom link. So this is a Zoom meeting on Friday, the 28th.
Okay.
Okay. The Women's Spiritual Empowerment Group continues with another 6-week series this Sunday, March 2nd. After service, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. in the sanctuary. All are welcome to join this lively discussion. And on Sunday, March 9th, from 1 to 3, we have an author panel. Join authors Dr. Jean Hightower, Mark Juarez, Reverend Verona Garland, and Marnie Curry for a fun discussion. Purchase signed copies of their books at the event. And Ramadan begins February 28th. It's the most sacred month of the year in Islamic culture. Muslims observe the month of Ramadan to mark that Allah or God gave chapters of the Quran to the Prophet Muhammad in the year 610. 610. Okay. Our nonprofit partner for March and April will be speaking this Sunday. The New Bridge Foundation is a nonprofit, non-medical addiction treatment facility with over 50 years of experience. Their high caliber, family-oriented staff is made up of licensed mental health professionals, certified drug and alcohol counselors, psychiatrists, doctors, and nurses. Visit newbridgefoundation.org for more information. And we welcome back Reverend Dr. Georgia Prescott on March 16th for her workshop after service. Just say no, hell no to aging gracefully. Come join us for a lively and fun discussion in the social hall. Visit oaklandcsl.org and select classes and workshops to register. And save the date. Our OCSL 80th anniversary gala celebration is September 19th through 20th of this year. Other events will also be held throughout the year. Stay tuned for more information coming soon. We are the change. Participate in our coin drive in celebration of our 80th anniversary. Bring your spare coins to OCSL and drop them in the designated collection jars in the sanctuary, ongoing for the entire year. Every small contribution adds up to big change for our community. Together, we make a difference by honoring our past and building our future, one coin at a time. Thanks in advance for your participation. And I will mention here that one person in our community said she did this in her own home with her own change for a whole year. And at the end of the year, she had over $100. So this can really add up and help our community. Our chair dedication program continues. Purchase a platinum, gold, silver, or bronze plate with your own inscription to be installed on the back of one of our chairs. Go to oaklandcsl.org events page for more information and to complete the form. The Spirit Treasure Bookstore celebrates Black History Month with 30% off all books by Black authors. Please visit, okay, you can go to the next slide, Freddie. That was a short announcement. Please visit our website at oaklandcsl.org and sign up for your weekly newsletter, Village News. Remember to follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook for special updates. Like and subscribe to Oakland Center today. And visit, as we mentioned earlier at the beginning, visit csl.org to see what's happening with, this is csl.org, the national organization, to see what is happening with our Centers for Spiritual Living Global Organization. And now I want to highlight our contact team. Everyone on the screen here are key people at our center. Of course, we have Reverend Dr. Sunshine Michelle Coleman, who is with us tonight. We have co-lead of the Ministry of Prayer, Megan Lemon, practitioner. Sorry, Freddie, go back. I want to finish the names here. We have Maureen French, co-lead minister for the Ministry of Prayer, who's also a practitioner. A board president, Beth Van Arkel. Our operations coordinator, Steve Carter. Our facility usage coordinator, practitioner Susan Brecker, and our bookkeeper Dal Becker. Just want to give a shout out to all of them because they keep the wheels turning. They keep everything running smoothly, and we couldn't do it without them. So big thanks to all of them. And with that, I want to move into our joyous giving time and our gratitude, offering our gratitude and our thanks for this center and everybody who contributes and participates. And I'd want to invite you to say with me, probably it'd be best to be muted because otherwise the sound gets distorted, but to say with me, I freely give what I have and the divine source multiplies it in return. And so it is. And so if you feel inspired to offer and contribute to our center, you can go to oaklandcsl.org, press the donate button, and then you will come to a page where you have multiple ways you can donate. You can text to donate. You can use this QR code. You can Zelle. You can write a check. And of course, if you're there in person, you can put an offering in the basket when that is offered during the service. So we welcome any contributions you feel inspired to give. They keep us running and we are most grateful. So thank you. And I now want to thank everybody who has contributed to this service tonight. We have, of course, we want to thank our speakers, Ron Marshall and Nancy Hester, who did such a wonderful job. I want to thank Judith Frauenglass for our opening prayer, and I want to thank Ron also for leading our meditation tonight. I want to thank all of the ministers who are supporting us tonight. Reverend Aikia Param is here. Reverend Dr. Sunshine Michelle is here. And Reverend Elena Hutchinson is a co-host. She and I host every other Wednesday. So she's not here tonight, but I want to thank her for her ongoing service. And then with our Zoom team, I want to thank our lead, Freddie Lambright III, has stepped in in an interim role and has been doing a fabulous job. And Freddie is running our PowerPoint, he's spotlighting, and he's muting people, and he's running the recording. Freddie is doing, as one person, what 3 people used to do. So we really thank you, Freddie, for doing an awesome job. And I want to thank Steve Carter, who is our operations administrator. And Steve is the one who puts all of our PowerPoint and our documents together for our Wednesday night program. So now, we're very grateful to everybody who has a hand in this, and especially to our speakers tonight who are so wonderful. And Ron has also offered to close us out in prayer. So I'd like to turn this over to Ron now.
Thank you, Judith. And again, thank you to everyone and for having us this evening. So let's just take this opportunity to take a breath and once again give thanks for it and release it with a sigh. I'm just giving thanks for our breath as our ever-present reminder that there truly is but one life. One life which is breathing me, breathing everyone present here this evening, and everyone within the sound of my voice and beyond. I'm giving thanks for this opportunity to land in this oasis, this community where we could gather together as perfect expressions of the divine, to speak what is on our hearts and to just take a brief respite from all that is happening and going on in our week. I'm giving thanks for all that has been shared and knowing that it all comes from the heart. I'm giving thanks for anyone who touched this time together in any way, shape, or form. I'm giving thanks for Oakland Center being a place of happy and peaceful landing for those who are part of the community and those looking for a spiritual home. I'm giving thanks for knowing that as we move from this portion of our day to the next, that we are held in the loving arms of the divine, safe, sound, and secure. Grateful for this and so much more. And so it is.
And so it
So
is.
it is.
Amen. Amen.
And Freddie, before we stop recording, I want to ask everybody to show their appreciation to Ron and Nancy. Just let them know however you can. Snap your fingers, just letting them know how much we appreciate you being here tonight and their wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Our honor.
Thank
Our
you.
absolute delight. Thank you so much.
And we're wishing a happy birthday to Freddie on
Happy birthday,
Saturday.
Freddie.
Happy birthday to Freddie. Happy
birthday.
birthday to
Happy
Freddie.
Happy
birthday
birthday.
to you.
Saturday. Yay,
Happy
That's a
Freddie.
mama's love.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye for now.
All
For
right.
Bye
now.
for
Thanks,
now.
Judith. Great
Bye,
job.
everyone.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.